Yes, time for some biology. You know, the science that tells you why you shouldn't eat 10 bars of chocolate per day. Damn you, biology. Anyway, we got some wacky stuff today. You ever feel like there are just so many natural remedies for cancer these days that you simply can't eat them all? Like first there's vegetable juice, then there's apple seeds, then there's garlic, then there's baking soda. It feels like there are just so many options when it comes to cancer cures, doesn't it? Once enough time passes, these people are just gonna find more and more until eventually you can eat anything and it's a cure for cancer. Oh, got cancer? Here, eat this rat poison, it'll fucking cure you. So yeah, I found a new substance being advertised as anti-cancer. And yes, it's an herb. We gotta get through all the plants first before we move on to things like bricks. Before we begin the video, I would like to give a shout out to today's sponsors, you guys. Thank you all for watching my videos and supporting my content no matter what I upload. I feel like I could upload a video of paint drying and you guys would still support me. I'm never going to do that, don't worry. Although it would make for some pretty easy content. But yeah, thank you to everyone and especially my patrons Fireshard, Alan Morton, JN, and Miss Fixit. Alright, let's roll the clip.
You've probably heard of natural cold remedies like echinacea, garlic, and golden seal, but there's a remedy that may be even better.
Well, it sure doesn't seem to be that good since it would literally dominate the news in alternative media. If it's better than garlic, how have I heard of garlic being a good remedy years before I heard whatever you're about to present?
It's an ancient Chinese herb called huang qi, which means yellow leader, but you probably know it more by its common name, Astragalus.
Okay, that's pretty broad. The Astragalus is a general terminology that refers to many plant species. Surely you're going to go into a bit more detail on exactly which one you're referring to?
Native to China, Mongolia, and Korea, Astragalus is an herb that grows up to 3 feet tall. Known botanically as Astragalus membranicus, the yellow root has various medicinal uses.
Okay, so I think he said Astragalus membranicus. That's good, we're narrowing it down a bit. And indeed, the species of legumes is fairly popular for its uses in traditional medicine and supplementation. Of course, just because it has been used for medicinal purposes does not mean it's effective, which is what clinical trials are for. Now, research for this herb has been generally few, and I know what you're thinking. How come all these natural remedies have such limited research? Let me tell you why. When we want to conduct a study for certain potential treatments, we don't just test anything we want. You have to propose the idea and get funding for your research. So before you get approved, you have to come up with a convincing argument on why this treatment logically makes sense. If you've seen any proposal, it always starts with something like, drug X is proposed to be effective against drug Y because it should have a biochemical interaction with so-and-so and therefore should be effective in treating patients. Now back to natural remedies, saying something like, I want to research this because people used it in ancient times is not a sound proposal. You often have to go further than that and explain a bit of biology. Unfortunately, many natural remedies simply do not hold weight, so scientists never really have any interest in studying them because there's no proposed mechanism that logically makes sense for most of them. Now that being said, that doesn't mean they're all rejected. Things like vitamin B17, for example, has been studied, but the Astragalus, not so much. So our research on it is indeed limited. Now, limited does not mean we don't know. Well, it does, but the greater takeaway is that there's no scientific interest on it because it most likely doesn't work and we're better off studying things that have more potential.
This super herb has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years. The University of Texas has shown it to be adaptogenic, which means that it enables viruses, bacteria, and even cancer cells to be picked up by the immune system's radar system.
Okay, so first of all, I was unable to find the paper that this guy's referencing. He doesn't mention the title of the paper, and the only thing we can go off of is the fact that it was published by the University of Texas. If anyone can find that paper, feel free to link it down below, and I'll have a look at it after publishing this video. But what I did find are a few other papers, such as one that supported the use of Astragalus as an anti-cancer remedy by inhibiting the activity of NF-kappa B, which is an important regulator of gene expression. This was done on a human cancer cell line in vitro, so we'll have to conduct more research to solidify these claims. Another paper suggests it to induce cell cycle arrest and promote apoptosis, although suppressing P21 doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Also done in vitro and on xenograft models. So yeah, there are a couple papers out there with preliminary experimentation on the effectiveness of the Astragalus, but overall there hasn't been much peer reviewing, but we'll keep that in mind as we continue the video.
In one study, Astragalus was able to restore immune function in 90% of the cancer patients that were studied.
Okay, so you're really gonna need to provide a source for that one, because I certainly can't find it by searching keywords. But yeah, anyway, this heavily depends on the species of Astragalus. Some have indeed found to increase immune activity. Now, don't get the wrong idea, increasing your immune function is not always a good thing, because many ways of doing so will actually harm the body. There's a fine balance in everything. So the reason I say it depends on the species is because some are actually toxic. The last thing I want is for someone to watch this video and get the wrong idea, go out and pick out some random Astragalus plant and eat it. And of course, videos like like these try very hard to dumb it down to the general public, so I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened to someone. But yeah, there are definitely some species that would boost immune function. Oh look, Professor Stick, even you admitted that this would help treat cancer. No, that's a big leap. Oftentimes, when chemotherapy, for example, lowers your immune system, the concern more so lies in opportunistic infections. What that means is that other pathogens take advantage of the weakened immune system to invade the body. Cancer patients are generally more susceptible to those infections. When you're at a late stage of cancer, getting a natural remedy to boost your immune system is going to do absolutely nothing in treating your cancer. There's a reason why we developed these proper treatments such as chemotherapy. At best, the Astragalus would help a bit against opportunistic infections. Now, please don't interpret that as using this herb would help cancer patients. It might, but it could also cause interactions with the drugs you are given. If you're on some medication, it's best not to go around and try other remedies. The risk can be pretty great. Just listen to your doctor at the end of the day.
Astragalus is a powerful, non-specific immunomodulator. That means that instead of activating our defense system against a specific disease organism, it modulates immunity by increasing the numbers and activity of macrophages, which are roving white blood cells that engulf invading organisms.
If what you're saying is true, then that would more so benefit preventative measures. Once you have cancer, more macrophages doesn't mean better because certain types of macrophages can be recruited by tumor cells to create a tumor microenvironment. The relationship between cancer and immune cells is complicated, and your own cells can very well work against you. And also, non-specific doesn't always mean better. Sure, it would have the advantage of covering a wide range of pathogens and cancer types, but it just in general is less powerful.
So when a person's diagnosed with cancer, the ripple effect on the rest of their health can often cause more trouble than the disease itself. And unfortunately, so can traditional cancer treatments like chemo, radiation, and surgery.
Yeah, sure, some of the main cancer treatments we have today is going to harm your immune system. Heck, it doesn't just harm your immune system, it will damage all sorts of organs and tissues in your body. If these drugs didn't work more effectively against cancer cells, they may as well be considered to be poison. But the idea is that they attack tumor cells harder than they attack regular cells. And due to the fact that there's a big blur between what is tumorous and what isn't, the fact that we have these drugs is a miracle already. We can't complain about not having a drug that leaves all the good cells alone, because that simply is kind of impossible. And your immune system is simply one of those systems that gets attacked by chemotherapy drugs. Of course, the extent depends on the drug you're given, but it's a pretty reasonable assumption. Of course, there's a trade-off. When you're at a late stage of cancer, you can't just wait around and hope to boost your immune system enough to beat out cancer. No, you attack it head on. You can never just rely on a natural remedy that has very limited research done and expect it to treat you through an indirect method of boosting your immune system. That's just simply not the best course of action. If it were, then doctors would be recommending it everywhere.
The roots of the Astragalus plant are thought to stimulate the production of interferon, and that is an essential chemical that induces the proper functioning of the immune system. Interferon also is effective in fighting cancer cell mutation and the development of cancer.
Another claim that I cannot find a source for, so let's just assume it does stimulate interferon production. You guys are probably all wondering what interferon is. Well, it's a class of proteins that are used by the immune system to fight against viruses. Depending on the interferon molecule, different functions are achieved, such as blocking a virus spread to other cells or inhibition of viral DNA synthesis. Its functions expand a little further though, and can also assist in fighting fungal infections and tumors. It can do this by stimulating immune function in general, such as increasing replication of helper T cells. Since we're just interested in cancer, we do know that interferons can increase the expression of tumor suppressor genes, which is always good against cancer. Think of this class of proteins as signaling molecules. They don't directly fight pathogens themselves, but rather stimulate pathways that do. As a result, interferons are fantastic at treating certain viral infections. That being said, interferons can be given as a treatment for certain cancers. But like all drugs, we never really just give one. Oftentimes, drugs are given in combination with other drugs, and interferons is no exception. Just increasing tumor suppressor function by itself is usually not enough. And of course, this also depends a lot on the type of interferon that is produced. If the Astragalus does indeed increase the specific interferons that help against cancer, then I can kind of see a point. But so far I haven't seen anything that shows the roots of the Astragalus can do such a thing, and even if it does, would it increase interferon levels enough to actually make a difference? Therapies usually involve hitting pretty hard with your drugs, and we can do that because it is an external source. Stimulating your cells to produce more is usually not the way to go. Anyway, I'm skeptical.
This herb is revered for its ability to boost the immune system, as I've just shared with you. And when cancer patients are undergoing chemo, very frequently the drugs themselves cause the body to produce less red and white blood cells. This makes the cancer patient more susceptible to infections and illness, and they get sicker faster as a result of the actual cancer treatment.
That's just an inevitable side effect. Are you proposing to ditch these conventional treatments as a whole and stick to natural remedies like the Astragalus? That's absolutely outrageous. This plant by itself is not going to do anything, and at the very least you'll have to use it in combination with something else. But that's the best case scenario, which I highly doubt. Don't get me wrong, all my talk earlier seems like it may be somewhat supporting the use of Astragalus, but I'm really not. There just simply isn't enough research done. Even if everything you said was true, that it helps combat cancer due to stimulating the immune system, you still have to show it in practice and give us practical results for real-world cancer patients. That's the same for every treatment we develop, really. It all starts off with some logical thinking, sort of what was presented for the Astragalus, and if it sounds good enough, then studies will have to be conducted to show that this actually works. Proving something in theory is not the same as proving it practically.
Astragalus enables the body to boost the white blood cell count, produce more antibodies and natural killer cells, strengthen antiviral immunity, and increase the production of interferon.
Even if that is true, is it significant enough to make a difference?
I want to summarize with 6 amazing benefits of Astragalus. Number 1, it's amazing for wound and skin care. When you apply Astragalus topically, it effectively alleviates eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, and also has been used to treat wounds.
Wow, this thing really does it all, doesn't it? And that's a common theme I see when a natural remedy is proposed. They're sold off as being way too good, and that's sort of what draws the first red flag for me. I'm sorry, but even our best drugs cannot be used for everything and can have some pretty heavy side effects. And that makes sense. If a drug is effective, that means it does its job well in modifying your body in a certain way, and that is bound to have other downstream effects. But if you're selling off the Astragalus as having no detrimental effects while also having 10 million other benefits, then it's just hard to believe. There's nothing like that in the world. Nothing.
If you take it as a tea, the antioxidant properties of Astragalus improves your blood flow, which is crucial for healthy-looking skin.
I did hear that the Astragalus has antioxidants in them, which is of course good. I'll just keep eating my blueberries though.
Number 2, it slows down the signs of aging. Astragalus improves your cellular health by slowing down the wear and tear of your DNA. Within your DNA, there are small strands called telomeres that keep your cells from unraveling. This root, Astragalus, extends the life of your telomeres, making you look younger and slowing down the aging process at the cellular level.
I also did read that it is an activator of telomerase, which extends the ends of your chromosomes. Aging is partly due to the shortening of chromosome ends, so that would make sense. The study that found this did mention that randomized trials would be needed, and some of their results were obtained in vitro anyway. Don't take this as, quote, slowing down the aging process and making you look younger. That's still a huge leap in logic. See, what these guys do is that they say, hey look, this thing A might have an effect B due to some preliminary research. And they say effect B generally correlates to curing or treating disease C. Therefore, this thing A cures disease C. In this example, they claim, hey look, the Astragalus increases telomerase. Then, telomerase counters a mechanism that causes aging. Therefore, Astragalus is anti-aging. But that's simply not how it works, because there are a lot of intermediate steps and implications in between. For example, extending telomerase is one way to promote cancer, and telomere shortening isn't the only way to cause aging. All of these have to be considered before you make the claim that the Astragalus slows down aging. And then after that, you have to prove it in a study and have that peer-reviewed. If you really feel confident about the Astragalus, feel free to initiate that process yourself. But until you complete the necessary steps, I'm going to stick with what has already been proven to work.
Number 3, Astragalus promotes heart health. Astragalus' diuretic effect flushes the toxins from your body, and many studies have shown that high blood pressure is a critical factor that contributes to heart disease.
Well, yeah, of course, there are studies that show that high blood pressure can lead to heart disease. I like how you said studies to make your claim seem more legit, but the so-called studies you're referring to doesn't even mention the Astragalus. Again, this is exactly what I said before, where you choose little bits and pieces and attempt to fit them together into one string. That's not how it works.
Number 4, Astragalus helps to regulate blood sugar. Patients with diabetes can safely rely on Astragalus to lower and balance their blood glucose levels.
No, absolutely do not listen to that. Take your prescribed medications. Do not drop everything and solely consume the Astragalus herbs. Absolutely do not do that. Listen to your doctor, not some video uploaded on YouTube. That's all, bye.